Okay, Dan, so this is a video to try and help you get on board the poetry analysis exam. Okay? So the first thing you need to do is compose yourself, get nice and calm, and then read the poem. I'm not sure how many times you'll get, but take as many as you can. Try and squeeze the time here. And if you're allowed to, do read it aloud. Okay? So when it comes to analysing the poem, there's 6 key tools you can use. They're sometimes called the journalist's friends, and they're useful tools in almost any situation. They are who, what, when, where, how, and why. Or specifically, break them down into groups of 3. Always a good thing. Who did what? When and where, how and why. It's worth mentioning the first 4 aren't that hard. The last 2 is where you earn your corn. So who did what? When and where, how and why. So the first question I want to answer is, who is the poem? Who is the narrator of the poem? Okay. The poem could be in the first, second, or third person, which is sometimes a bit confusing. So the way I understand the first person is when you are speaking or the narrator is speaking. So in the poem you go, I walked down to the woods. I looked around me. I saw the beautiful flowers. That's first person. That's easy. Second person is less common and you probably won't bump into it. That's when someone's talking to you about you. So you should do this, you should see this, you should go there, you'll love this. That's second person. Third person is very common. So when someone's talking to you about someone else. Did you hear about Joey? He fell off a horse. He broke his leg. He went to the hospital. That's all third person. Okay? So who is the narrator? And try and identify which person it is. And then what is the content? In your first explanation to the people, you can be a little bit superficial. Who did what? So the narrator, speaking in the first person, went down the forest and saw many, many beautiful things. That's who did what. Okay? The next 2 are also relatively straightforward. They are when and where. Don't describe them in the exam like that. Say the context is when. There might be a specific time. It might be in the morning. It might be at night. It might be last year. It might be when he was young. But often the time is unspecified. And if you want a good kind of quote to stick into exams, a bit of a BS quote, but it works, you could say it's timeless. Okay? I think they kind of like that kind of stuff. Lastly on this is the where. Okay? Again, often the poem may take in a specific place, may take in nature, may take place at home, it may take place anywhere almost. But sometimes it won't be an actual place. It will be in a person's imagination. It will be, a bit harder to pin down where it is. Okay? So, first 2 questions are relatively straightforward. Who did what? When and where? Okay? Who is the narrator? What is the content? And what is the context? Okay? Now, where you earn your coin is answering these 2 questions. Why and how? But let's start with why. Why is the meaning or the message of the poem? So why did the poet bother to write this? What's he trying to tell you? And if you're not getting much, if the poem seems very straightforward, like just description, try and think of how does the poem make you feel? Is it upbeat? Is it downbeat? Is it optimistic? Is it miserable? Is it subdued? What does it make you think? What's going on here? What might the author be thinking? Why is he telling me this? Why should I care? Okay? So all those things are important, but a bit hard to quantify in this kind of thing. You have to just read the poem and see what you take from it. Okay? And if you're not getting much from it, think, well, what would someone else think about it? What would Sabrina think about it? What would I think about it? What would your gran think about it? Just get you thinking that way. Different perspectives is another way of understanding what's this poem for. Lastly is how, or the form of the poem. The form is actually a more generic term for a specific term within that, but the form is something to describe how just the general nuts and bolts of the poem. The form is the specific shape of the poem. So if it's 3 lines, 3 lines, 3 lines, 3 lines, it's 4 stanzas of 3 lines. And when you read through them, ask yourself, do they have a rhythm? Some poems will have a rhythm, da 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 da, and so forth. And some poems don't have a rhythm. So form and rhythm, and then we're getting bigger to smaller. So form is the overall shape, rhythm is how it's read through. Phrases come in 2 broad categories. There's imagery, which is simply description. For example, a tall man, a tree. And metaphor, which is a comparison. He was tall as a tree. She was as beautiful as the sun. Okay, so phrases can be broken into imagery and metaphor. And if you look at the actual words themselves, if the words all start, or several words start with the same letter, that's alliteration. Love, labour's lost. They're all L's. Alliteration. Love, labour's lost. And if a certain amount of the words end in the same letter or the same sounding words, you have a rhyme. I'm not going to rhyme for you right now, but you know what a rhyme is. Okay? So that's it basically. Who did what? When and where? Why and how? Okay? Who is the narrator? What is the content? What it's ostensibly about or superficially about, the content. Then you have the context, which is when and where. Then you get on to the tricky stuff. Why? Why is this poem being written? What are they trying to tell you? How do they want to make you feel, or what do they want to make you think? That's where you earn your money, okay? Then you have the how. How, again, is showing you know something about poetry, so you would look at the form, the shape of it, the rhythm, how it reads through. That's important when you read it aloud, so you can see the rhythm. Then you also have the phrases, imagery, plain description, and comparisons, metaphors. Something is like something. So again, she is as beautiful as the sun. She is like the sun. There's a comparison to A to B. And lastly, you have the actual words. The words can rhyme. And if words are all the same, start with the same letter, that's alliteration.